AITA for moving the tracker my wife hid on my car and revealing why she was watching me. I'm Paul, 35, and I had been married to Brooke for 7 years. She was 33, and until that year, I would have described our marriage as mostly steady. We argued about normal things, whose turn it was to buy groceries, why the laundry basket could apparently become invisible when it was full, whether we needed another streaming subscription. But we had never been the kind of couple who checked each other's pockets or demanded passwords. At least, I hadn't thought we were. The change started gradually enough that I kept explaining it away. Brooke began asking me to text when I left somewhere. Not just when I was running late. Every time. Just send me a quick heads up, she would say. It helps me not worry. So I did. If I stopped for gas, I sent a message. If traffic forced me onto a different road, I told her. Before I pulled out of a parking lot, I typed, heading home. At first, it felt like a small thing. Marriage was full of small accommodations. I liked knowing she was safe too, so I understood the idea in theory. Then the questions became oddly precise. One evening I came home, set my keys in the bowl by the door, and found Brooke standing in the kitchen with her arms folded. You said you were leaving 20 minutes ago. I did. It doesn't take 20 minutes to get here. There was traffic. On your normal route? I took the side road. She stared at me for a beat too long. Why? Because there was traffic. She gave a little laugh that wasn't really a laugh. You always have an answer. I remember looking at her and thinking that was a strange thing to criticize. Of course I had an answer. She had asked me a question about something that had happened 10 minutes earlier. Another time, I stopped for gas and grabbed a bottle of water. Brooke texted before I had even pulled back onto the road. What are you doing? Getting gas. For 11 minutes? I looked at the timestamp. It had been 11 minutes exactly. There was one pump open, I wrote. Then I went inside. She replied with a thumbs up, but when I got home, she was quiet through dinner. I finally asked what was wrong. Nothing. Brooke. I just don't understand why you get defensive over simple questions. I answered the question. You made it sound like I was interrogating you. You asked why buying gas took 11 minutes. If you had nothing to hide, it wouldn't bother you. That sentence became her favorite. She used it whenever I objected to the level of detail she wanted. If you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't mind sharing your location. If you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't put your phone face down. If you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't care that I called 8 times. The 8 calls happened while I was driving. My phone was connected to the car, and I could see her name appearing again and again on the screen. I didn't answer because the traffic was heavy and I was trying to merge. When I got home, she was waiting in the living room. You ignored me. I was driving. You could have answered through the car. I was merging. For 15 minutes? I'm not going to argue with you about refusing to have a distracted phone call in traffic. Her expression hardened. That is such a convenient excuse. I set my keys down and took a breath. I'm not reporting my life to you minute by minute. A wife shouldn't have to beg her husband to be transparent. A marriage is not a check-in desk. That was the first time I drew a clear boundary, and Brooke reacted like I had confessed to something. She walked into the kitchen, put both hands on the counter, and said, You hear yourself, right? You sound like someone who wants freedom from his wife. I want to drive home without being accused of a crime because I missed a call. I never said crime. You don't have to. You say guilty, hiding, secretive. You imply it every day. Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. Instead, she shook her head slowly. You make me feel crazy for needing reassurance. That was the trap I kept stepping into. The moment I defended myself, the conversation stopped being about what she had done and became about how my reaction made her feel. So I backed down. Again, I apologized for being sharp. I promised to send better updates. I kept my phone on loud during dinner because silence somehow became evidence. I stopped making unplanned stops because I didn't want to explain them later. I thought I was being patient. I didn't realize I was being trained. Brooke also started discussing our marriage with her mother, Elaine. I learned that at a Sunday dinner when Elaine passed me a bowl of potatoes and said, without any lead-in, a wife should not have to beg her husband to be transparent. I looked at Brooke. She kept her eyes on her plate. What are we talking about? I asked. Elaine sighed like I was exhausting her. Brooke has been under so much stress. About what? About not knowing where she stands with you. I'm sitting right here. You know what I mean. No, I actually don't. Brooke finally looked up. Mom, please. But the way she said it told me she had already given Elaine a version of the story and now wanted credit for pretending to stop her. Elaine leaned closer. When someone you love asks for reassurance, you don't punish them for it. I text Brooke all day. That isn't the point. What is the point? The point is that she doesn't feel secure. I waited for Brooke to explain what I had supposedly done to create that insecurity. She didn't. Instead, she said softly, "Can we not do this here?" That made me look like the one pushing the argument, even though I had walked into it without knowing it was waiting for me. Miles was at the table too. He was a longtime family friend who had known both of us for years. He shifted in his chair and tried to lighten the mood. "Probably just marriage stress," he said. "Everybody gets weird when communication breaks down." At the time, I appreciated the attempt. Later, I realized that even his neutral response placed me on trial. The truth was assumed to be somewhere between Brooke's fear and my denial, as if both sides had contributed equally to a problem I still did not understand. On the drive home, I asked Brooke exactly what she had told her mother. Nothing private. "She accused me of making you feel unsafe." I said, "Emotionally unsafe. That is not better." I told her we've been struggling. "We have been struggling because you question every stop I make. And you keep acting like my questions are attacks. They are attacks when every answer becomes proof that I'm lying." Brooke turned toward the passenger window. "I knew you'd make this about you." I almost laughed, but nothing about it was funny. For the next few weeks, I tried one final compromise. I told her I would text when plans changed, but I would not answer calls while driving, and I would not account for every minute. She agreed that night. The next morning, she texted me while I was getting coffee. "You said you were heading straight back." I stared at the message. "I am." "Then why did you stop?" I looked through the windshield at the coffee shop sign and felt something cold settle in my stomach. I had not told her I was stopping. I called her. "How did you know I stopped?" There was a pause. "You always stop for coffee." "No, I don't." "Well, you do sometimes. You texted me 2 minutes after I pulled in." I guessed. "You guessed the exact morning I stopped?" Her tone sharpened. "Why are you making this weird?" I let it go, but I didn't forget it. There were other moments like that. Brooke asked why I had been near a pharmacy when I had only used the parking lot to turn around. She asked why I had gone past the grocery store and circled back when I had missed the entrance. Once, she asked why I had spent 15 minutes on a street where I had been waiting for a train to pass. Each time, she had an explanation for how she supposedly knew. A friend had seen my car. She had guessed. I had mentioned the area before. The shared phone plan must have shown something. A car insurance app had sent a strange alert. None of the explanations held together, but they came quickly enough that I doubted my own memory. The tracker was discovered on a Thursday. I had heard a faint rattle from the rear of my car for several days. It only happened over bumps, and I assumed something was loose near the bumper. I finally stopped at an auto shop and asked them to check it. I was sitting in the waiting area, drinking burnt coffee from a paper cup, when the mechanic stepped through the doorway holding a small black device. "Do you want this tracker left on?" he asked. For a second, I thought I had misheard him. "What tracker?" He looked from the device to me. "This one." It was about the size of a deck of cards, maybe smaller, with a magnetic plate and strips of adhesive residue along one side. "That isn't part of the car?" "No." "Insurance device?" "Not unless you installed it." I didn't. His expression changed. He lowered his voice. It was tucked up behind the rear bumper. Pretty deliberate placement. I asked him not to wipe or alter anything. I took photographs of the device, the underside of the bumper, and the spot where it had been attached. Then I asked him to write a short note on the inspection receipt stating that an aftermarket tracking device had been found during the inspection. He did. I paid, walked outside, and sat behind the wheel without starting the engine. The tracker rested in a plastic parts tray on the passenger seat. My hands were shaking. Not with rage. Not yet. It was the sick feeling of months rearranging themselves in my head. The coffee stop. The pharmacy parking lot. The missed grocery entrance. The train crossing. Brooke had not been guessing. She had been testing me against a map. Every question had been a trap. She already knew where the car had gone. She wanted to see whether my answer matched what she had watched on a screen. I reached for my phone and called my younger sister, Simone. She answered on the second ring. You okay? I found a tracker under my car. Silence. Then, very calmly, she said, do not confront her tonight. I'm not sure it was her. Do you believe that? I looked at the device beside me. No. Take pictures. I did. Keep the receipt. I have it. Save copies somewhere she can't access. Okay. And Paul? Yeah. She is waiting for you to react. Maybe not consciously, maybe completely consciously, but she has already been telling people you're secretive and emotionally unsafe. Do not hand her an explosion she can use against you. I leaned back and closed my eyes. So I just go home? You gather facts first. I feel like an idiot. You're not an idiot. You trusted your wife longer than she deserved. That hurt more than I expected. Simone continued, calm is not weak. Calm is evidence with a pulse. I stayed in the parking lot for another 10 minutes. Then I noticed a donation center across the road. Near the side entrance was a large metal bin with a posted pickup schedule. Overnight collection, Thursday into Friday. An idea came to me. It was not a complicated plan. I did not hack anything. I did not follow Brooke. I did not install a device on her car. I simply decided to move the thing she had used to track me. I drove home while Brooke was out. In the kitchen cabinet, I found a small cardboard box filled with old mugs, chipped bowls, and mixing spoons we had meant to donate for months. I placed the tracker beneath the dish towels at the bottom, sealed the box, and drove back to the donation bin. Before dropping it in, I took a time-stamped photo showing the box, the bin, and the pickup schedule. The kiosk printed a basic donation receipt with the time. Then I went home. Brooke arrived around 7. She kissed my cheek, asked how my day had been, and complained that the refrigerator was making a strange sound. I watched her move around the kitchen as if nothing had changed. Maybe she had installed the tracker herself. Maybe Wade had done it. Maybe there was some explanation I had not considered. But as I stood there, I understood that the worst part was not the device. It was how normal she looked while lying to me. We ate dinner. She asked why I had been quiet. Long day, I said. She studied my face. Did something happen? Nothing I'm ready to talk about. That answer bothered her. I could see it in the way she set down her fork. What does that mean? It means I had a long day. You're being strange. I'm tired. She waited, probably expecting me to fill the silence. I didn't. We went to bed around 11. At 2:08 a.m., my phone lit up on the nightstand. Brooke's name appeared. I turned my head. Her side of the bed was empty. The phone stopped ringing, then immediately started again. I answered. Where are you? Brooke demanded. Her voice was shaking. I looked toward the bedroom door. A thin line of light showed beneath it. In bed. Don't do that. Do what? Why is your car behind a locked warehouse? There it was. Not suspicion. Not a guess. A location. I sat up slowly. How would you know where my car is? Silence. Then she said, I had a feeling something was wrong. A feeling told you my car was behind a warehouse. The insurance app sent something. What insurance app? The one connected to the policy. We don't have an app that shows the car's location. It must have glitched. You just said it showed a location. I don't know, Paul. I woke up and saw something strange. Where are you right now? Another pause. In the living room. Come into the bedroom. She hung up. A few seconds later, she appeared in the doorway holding her phone. Her face looked pale in the hall light. You're here, she said. I told you I was. She glanced toward the window as if the car might not be in the driveway. It was parked exactly where I had left it. Brooke gripped her phone with both hands. Someone told me they saw your car near a warehouse. At 2 a.m? Yes. Who? I don't know. A message. You don't know who messaged you? I'm half asleep. I held her gaze. That's 3 different answers to one question. Her fear vanished so quickly, it was almost impressive. Anger replaced it. You're twisting this to make me look insane. I asked how you knew where my car was. I was scared. Of what? That you were lying to me. About being asleep? You've been acting weird all night. I had a long day. You said you weren't ready to talk about something. So you checked a tracker? Her mouth opened, but no words came out. That was the first actual admission. Not a confession. Just the absence of denial at the exact moment denial would have been natural. I picked up my phone and looked at the call log. 3 missed calls. 1 voicemail. Brooke noticed. Don't record me. I'm not recording you. Delete that voicemail. I haven't listened to it. You know what I meant. No, I know what you said. She turned away and began pacing. I just needed reassurance. You put a tracker under my car. You made me feel like I had to check. How long? She kept pacing. How long, Brooke? I don't know. That's not an answer. A few months. The words landed with less force than I expected because some part of me had already known. Who helped you? No one. What account is it under? She stopped. I don't know what you mean. The tracker needs an account. It needs a subscription. It needs a phone or computer showing the location. Who set it up? I did. Show me. Her eyes narrowed. You don't get to demand my phone. The hypocrisy was so complete that I almost admired it. You tracked my car for months, but showing me the account is an invasion of your privacy? I said I was scared. And I'm saying fear does not give you ownership of my movements. She started crying then, but even the tears felt strategic because they arrived with another accusation. You don't care what you put me through. I stayed sitting on the edge of the bed. I didn't put the tracker under my car. You gave me reasons not to trust you. Name one. You're distant. Because every conversation becomes an interrogation. You hide your phone. I put it face down during meals. You take different routes. Because roads have traffic. You disappear. I stop for gas. Her face tightened. You're mocking me. No, I'm describing the ordinary things you turned into evidence. She wiped her cheeks. Where's the tracker? In a donation box. Her head snapped up. What? I found it at the auto shop. I placed it in a box scheduled for overnight pickup. You let me think your car had been stolen? I let your tracker go somewhere without me. You did that on purpose. Yes. That is sick. What's sick is knowing the exact moment the tracker stopped matching the driveway. She stared at me for a long time. Then she said, I'm calling my mother. Of course you are. I slept in the guest room. By morning, Brooke had created a new version of what happened. In that version, she had made one mistake because she was afraid, while I had cruelly staged a situation to make her panic. She barely mentioned the months of surveillance. She focused on the warehouse, the middle of the night fear, and my calm reaction. She sent me a long text before 7. I know what I did wasn't perfect, but you have no idea what it feels like to believe your husband is living a separate life. You could have talked to me. Instead, you manipulated me and enjoyed watching me panic. That tells me everything I need to know about how emotionally unsafe this marriage has become. I saved the message. Then I listened to the voicemail. Her voice came through fast and breathless. Paul, answer me. Why is your car sitting behind a locked warehouse? What are you doing there? Call me right now. I swear, if you're with someone. The message ended. I saved a copy. A few minutes later, Simone called. She contacted me, she said. What did she say? That you planted some kind of fake location to terrorize her. I moved the tracker she hid under my car. I know. She left that part vague. I looked across the kitchen. Brooke was upstairs, opening and closing drawers hard enough for me to hear. Simone asked, did she admit it in writing? Not directly. Then don't argue. Save everything. I'm starting to feel ridiculous documenting my own marriage. You're not documenting a marriage. You're documenting a dispute with someone who is already recruiting witnesses. That sentence changed how I handled the next few days. I stopped trying to win arguments with Brooke. I focused on preserving facts. I scanned the auto shop receipt and saved the photographs in 2 places. I kept the donation receipt. I wrote down the timeline while the details were fresh. I saved Brooke's texts and voicemail. Then something happened that widened the entire situation. Wade contacted me. Wade was 34 and had known Brooke before I met her. She called him an old acquaintance for years. More recently, he had become her emotional support friend, though she never used that exact phrase until our marriage started getting worse. He was the person who supposedly understood anxiety. The person who told her she was not asking too much. The person whose name appeared in late-night message notifications that Brooke dismissed as harmless. His text arrived that afternoon. You need to calm down. Brooke was trying to protect the marriage. It's not illegal for a wife to know where the family car is. I read it twice. Then I replied. I never said whose account the tracker was under. The typing indicator appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Finally, he wrote. She told me what happened. I responded. You said it wasn't illegal. Did you help her set it up? He did not answer for almost an hour. Then, I didn't install anything on your car. She asked me a question and I answered it. What question? No response. I waited. Later that evening, another message arrived. She had trouble getting the account working. I helped with the app. That's it. She said it was fine because you two are married. I stared at the screen. There was the connection. Wade had managed the tracker account, or at least helped Brooke access it. That explained why no obvious charge had appeared under her name. It also explained why she had refused to show me the account. I took screenshots. Then I asked, was the subscription charged to you? His answer came faster this time. She paid me back. How? Cash sometimes. Other times she covered stuff. I thought about the small withdrawals I had noticed from our shared account. $20 here, $40 there. Nothing large enough to question on its own. Wade sent another message. You're making this sound worse than it was. I was trying to help her feel safe. I typed. Did feeling safe require knowing when I wasn't home? He did not reply. That question bothered me enough that I checked the doorbell camera. Brooke usually handled the app because she liked getting alerts when packages arrived. I still had access, but I rarely opened it. I began reviewing dates from the previous month, focusing on times Brooke had called repeatedly or asked unusually specific questions. The first few days showed nothing. Then I found Wade. He appeared at our front door on a Tuesday afternoon, carrying 2 coffee cups. The timestamp was 3:17 p.m. At 3:14 that same afternoon, Brooke had texted me. Still at the store? I had answered. Yes, long checkout line. At 3:18, she had replied. Okay, just checking. In the video, Brooke opened the door before Wade rang the bell. She looked past him toward the street, stepped aside, and let him in. He stayed 48 minutes. There was no footage from inside the house, and the clip did not prove they had slept together. I knew that. I forced myself not to turn suspicion into certainty the way Brooke had done to me. But it proved Wade had visited while I was away. It proved Brooke had checked my location immediately before opening the door. I kept searching. I found him on 2 other dates. Once, he stayed a little over an hour. Another time, only 20 minutes. Each visit lined up with a period when Brooke had checked where I was or called to ask how long I would be gone. The tracker was not just watching where I went. It was telling them when I was gone. When Brooke came downstairs, I was sitting at the dining table with my phone in front of me. She took one look at my face and stopped. What now? Wade helped you with the tracker. Her expression barely shifted, but her answer came too fast. He helped with the app. That's all. You told me no one helped. I forgot. You forgot who managed a device you used every day? I didn't use it every day. Did Wade come here while I was away? She folded her arms. He's a friend. That wasn't the question. You don't get to police who comes into my home. Our home. See? This is what I mean. Control. I almost laughed again. She had tracked my physical location for months and was accusing me of control because I asked who entered our house. How many times did he come over? I don't count. Did you check the tracker before he came? You're being paranoid. I have the timestamps. That silenced her. She looked toward the hallway, then back at me. You went through the camera history? It's our doorbell camera. That's a violation. No, Brooke. Hiding a tracker under my car is a violation. Looking at footage from my own front door after discovering your friend knew about the tracker is called paying attention. Her jaw tightened. Nothing happened with Wade. I didn't ask whether anything happened. You were going to. I was going to ask why you needed to know exactly when I would be home. She turned away. That's what I thought. She spun back. You don't get to act righteous after what you did with the tracker. I moved an object that had no right to be on my car. You scared me on purpose. You exposed yourself. No, you set a trap. I removed your advantage. She started crying again, But this time the tears came with anger. You want me to be the villain so badly. I want you to tell the truth. I was scared of losing you. You were coordinating my location with another man. He is my friend. Then show me the messages. No. Why not? Because I'm allowed to have privacy. I looked at her for several seconds. That sentence would mean more if you had not hidden a tracking device under my car. She left the room. That afternoon, I canceled the anniversary reservation I had made for the following weekend. It was not dramatic. I opened the confirmation email, clicked cancel, and watched a new message arrive stating the reservation had been released. Still, that small email hurt. I had chosen the place weeks earlier. Brooke had been dropping hints about wanting a quiet dinner, and I had planned to surprise her. Now the idea of celebrating 7 years felt insulting. I was done funding a celebration of a marriage she was quietly poisoning. I also moved my personal savings into an account only I could access. I did not empty our shared checking account or touch Brooke's money. I separated what was clearly mine and turned on transaction alerts. A bank notification appeared on my phone confirming the change. Then I scheduled a brief consultation with a family lawyer. I did not ask how to ruin Brooke. I asked practical questions. What were my rights regarding the house? What should I document? Could moving the tracker create a legal problem? What should I avoid doing if we separated? The lawyer told me not to destroy evidence, not to access accounts that were not mine, and not to make threats. He recommended preserving the facts and keeping financial changes reasonable. That was exactly what I intended. For 3 days, Brooke and I lived in the same house, like people waiting for a storm to choose a direction. She slept in the bedroom. I stayed in the guest room. We spoke about groceries and dishes, but nothing else. Meanwhile, Elaine called twice and left messages. The first said, "Paul, I understand you're upset, but you need to stop punishing Brooke for trying to feel secure." The second said, "She is terrified of you right now. A husband should want his wife to feel safe." I saved both. Brooke had clearly not told Elaine about Wade's involvement or the doorbell footage. Then Miles texted me. "Brooke says things got out of hand. Are you okay?" I replied, "I'm calm. She tracked my car for months. Wade helped manage it. He took several minutes to answer. She said it was one time. It was not." His next message was cautious. "I thought this was just marriage stress." So did I? On Saturday, Brooke told me her mother was hosting dinner the next evening. "I think we need people around us who care," she said. "Who was going?" "Mom. Miles. Wade might stop by." I looked at her. "Wade. He deserves to explain his side. He has a side in our marriage. He got dragged into this. He helped you track me. He helped me use an app." Same sentence with softer words. Brooke pressed her lips together. "Please don't make a scene." That told me what the dinner really was. She expected an audience already prepared to see her as frightened and me as cruel. She wanted Wade to minimize his involvement. She wanted Elaine to frame surveillance as concern. She wanted Miles there as a neutral witness who would later say the truth was complicated. I agreed to go. Before we left the next evening, I placed several printed screenshots, the auto shop receipt, and the donation receipt into a thin envelope. I had the voicemail saved on my phone. The doorbell clips were bookmarked. I did not tell Brooke. Elaine's dining room smelled like roasted chicken and rosemary. The table was set more formally than usual, which made the atmosphere feel even stranger. Miles was already there. Wade arrived 5 minutes after us. He shook my hand. I let him. His palm was damp. Dinner began with forced small talk. Elaine asked Miles about a home repair. Wade commented on the food. Brooke barely ate. I waited. The performance started before dessert. Brooke put down her fork and said, "I can't keep pretending everything is normal." Elaine immediately reached for her hand. "No one is asking you to." Brooke inhaled shakily. "I know I made a mistake because I was scared, but Paul has been punishing me for days. He canceled our anniversary. He moved money. He won't sleep in our room. He keeps collecting things against me." Miles glanced at me. Wade looked down at his plate. I said nothing. Brooke continued. "He set up this horrible situation where I thought his car had been stolen or that he was in danger. Then he just sat there, completely cold, watching me panic." Elaine turned to me. "Paul, don't turn this into an attack on her. I haven't said anything." That tone is exactly what she means. I almost admired how efficiently they had arranged the room. Brooke cried. Elaine defended. Wade minimized. Miles watched. I was expected either to surrender or become angry enough to confirm the story. Brooke wiped under her eyes. I just needed reassurance. Elaine nodded. A husband should want his wife to feel secure. I looked at Brooke. Did you tell them how long you tracked me? Her face tightened. I told them I made a mistake. How long? This is not an interrogation, Elaine said. I turned to her. Did she tell you it was months? Elaine looked at Brooke. Brooke said, it wasn't constant. That is not an answer. Elaine's voice sharpened. If you weren't hiding anything, why did this bother you so much? The room went quiet. I had known someone would say it. I just had not known whether it would be Brooke or her mother. I reached for my phone. Let's start there. Brooke's posture changed. What are you doing? I'm answering the question. I opened the voicemail and placed the phone on the table. Her recorded voice filled the room. Paul, answer me. Why is your car sitting behind a locked warehouse? What are you doing there? Call me right now. I swear, if you're with someone. The message ended. No one spoke. I looked at Elaine. That was recorded at 2:08 in the morning. I was in bed at home. The car was in the driveway. The tracker was in a donation box being transported to a warehouse. Miles frowned. Wait, that voicemail is from the same night. Yes. Brooke said, he made me think something terrible happened. I did not call you. I did not send you a location. I removed a tracker from my car and placed it in a donation box. Wade leaned back in his chair. You knew she would see it. I suspected whoever installed it would. Brooke's eyes flashed. You wanted me to panic. I wanted the person monitoring it to reveal themselves. Elaine shook her head. That is cruel. I opened the envelope. No. Cruel is spending months accusing someone of lying while secretly checking whether his answers match a device hidden under his car. I placed the auto shop receipt on the table. The mechanic found an aftermarket tracking device attached near the rear bumper. The receipt notes where it was found. Then I placed down the photograph of the tracker still attached beneath the car. Brooke stared at the table. I added the donation receipt and the time-stamped photograph. This shows when and where I dropped off the box. Miles picked up the auto shop receipt. You didn't know it was there? No. He looked at Brooke. Did he know? She said nothing. Brooke, Miles repeated. Did he know about the tracker or not? No, she said quietly. Elaine's face changed, but only slightly. I didn't know she went that far. You didn't ask, I said. Brooke looked up. Don't blame my mother. I'm not blaming her for the tracker. I'm blaming her for accusing me without knowing what happened. Elaine opened her mouth, then closed it. Wade cleared his throat. I didn't install anything on your car. I turned to him. I never said you did. His expression froze. I placed a screenshot of his message on the table. She had trouble getting the account working. I helped with the app. That's it. She said it was fine because you two are married. Miles read it, then passed it to Elaine. Wade shifted in his chair. You're making this sound worse than it was. I'm reading your words. I was trying to help her feel safe. Did feeling safe require knowing when I wasn't home? Brooke cut in. Stop attacking him. The instinctive way she defended Wade answered more than she intended. I unlocked my phone again. Here is the first doorbell clip. I played the video. Wade appeared at our front door holding 2 coffees. Brooke opened the door before he rang. I showed the timestamp. 3 minutes before this video, Brooke texted me asking whether I was still at the store. Brooke's face lost color. I played the second clip, then the third. Each one showed Wade entering our house while I was away. Each one lined up with a message or call from Brooke checking my location. Miles stared at Wade. You were going over there when Paul wasn't home? Wade spread his hands. We were talking. Why did you need the tracker? Miles asked. I didn't need anything. She already had it. You managed the account, I said. I helped with the app. Same sentence with softer words. Brooke pushed back from the table. You're humiliating me in front of everyone. I kept my voice level. You humiliated me with a lie. I'm answering with the part you left out. She stood. You planned this. No, you planned this dinner. I wanted support. You wanted witnesses. Elaine said, Paul, enough. I looked at her. Is any of this fake? She did not answer. I pointed to the receipt. Fake. No. The voicemail. No. The messages? She glanced at Wade. I don't know. They came from his number. Wade said, yes, I sent them, but… The doorbell footage? No one answered. I looked at Brooke. You told everyone I was hiding something. So let's talk about what you hid under my car. Her face twisted. You're acting like I cheated. I'm acting like you tracked me, lied about it, involved another man, used my location to know when I was away, and then told your family I was emotionally unsafe because I objected. Nothing happened with Wade. Then why did you need to know when I would be home? We didn't need to know. You checked 3 minutes before opening the door. That was a coincidence. 3 times. She looked at Wade. He looked down. That was the moment the room turned. Not because anyone suddenly became loyal to me. Because Brooke's story had run out of places to hide. Miles set down the screenshot. I thought this was just marriage stress, he said. Brooke snapped. It is. No, he replied. This is different. Elaine rubbed her fingers against the edge of her napkin. I should have asked you before I judged you, she said to me. But the apology sounded reluctant, as if the facts had forced it out of her. Yes, I said. You should have. Her eyes narrowed, probably because I did not rush to make her feel better. Brooke sat again. For the first time all evening, she looked less angry than tired. I felt like I was losing control, she said. I waited. She swallowed. Every time you stopped answering, every time you said you needed space, I felt like you were pulling away. So you tracked me. I needed to know. Know what? Where you were, when you would be home, whether what you said matched. Why? Because I couldn't stand not knowing. That's control, Brooke, not reassurance. She looked down at her hands. I was scared of losing you. No, you were scared of losing access to me. Her eyes filled again. I didn't plan for it to become this. You installed a tracker. You checked it for months. You involved Wade. You lied when I found it. Then you brought me here so everyone could call me cruel. I knew you'd make me look insane. I'm not here to prove you're insane. I'm here to prove I wasn't crazy. Wade finally looked at me. I thought she already talked to you about the tracker. That is not what your message said. She told me it was fine. She also told her mother I was hiding something. Did you believe that too? He hesitated. I believed she was worried. You benefited from knowing when I was away. His face hardened. You're implying something happened. I'm stating that you entered my house during windows she confirmed through a hidden tracking device. We were friends. Then you should have been able to visit without coordinating my absence. He had no answer. I returned the papers to the envelope, except for the copies Brooke and Elaine were still holding. Then I said, here is what happens next. Brooke stared at me. I am leaving the house for a defined separation. I have already protected my personal funds. I did not touch yours. I have spoken to a lawyer so I understand my rights. Elaine inhaled sharply. Brooke whispered, you talked to a lawyer? Yes. So you were planning to leave me. I was planning not to be unprepared. She looked wounded, but I did not let that redirect the conversation. If this marriage has any chance, there will be no trackers, no secret access to my accounts, no location sharing, and no private contact with Wade. Wade muttered, you can't tell her who she can talk to. I can tell her what conditions I require before considering reconciliation. She can refuse. Then the marriage ends. Brooke said, you're giving me an ultimatum. I'm giving you boundaries. Same thing. No. An ultimatum controls what you do. A boundary controls what I will participate in. The room went quiet again. I continued. You will admit, clearly and without excuses, that you tracked me for months. You will correct the story you told your family. You will provide the tracker account records and the messages with Wade if you want me to believe nothing else happened. We will attend counseling with someone neither of us knows. And if you keep defending the lie, I will stop discussing reconciliation. Brooke's voice was small. And if I do all that, then I consider staying. I am not promising it. You're punishing me. These are not punishments. These are the conditions for me even considering staying. She covered her face with both hands. Elaine moved toward her, but Miles spoke first. Brooke, he's not wrong. She looked up sharply. Miles met my eyes. Paul, I owe you an apology. I should not have assumed. I nodded. Thank you. Elaine said, Everyone was trying to help. No, I replied. Everyone was trying to calm Brooke. That is not the same as helping. She looked offended, but she did not argue. I stood and picked up my envelope. Brooke said, "You're leaving now?" "Yes." "Are you coming home?" "I'll get close tonight. I'll stay with Simone for a few days, then make other arrangements." She stared at me as if separation were something I was doing to her rather than a consequence of what she had done. "Paul, please." I paused. An apology that starts with "I was scared" still needs to include "I was wrong. You are not there yet." Then I left. Simone had already made up the couch, but she gave me her room and refused to argue about it. That night, I lay awake listening to the unfamiliar hum of her ceiling fan. My phone lit up every few minutes with messages from Brooke. "I'm sorry you felt violated. I never wanted to hurt you. Wade means nothing. You are destroying our marriage over one mistake. Please come home." I did not answer. The next morning, I sent one message. "It was not one mistake. It was a system you maintained for months. Contact me when you are ready to describe what you did without blaming my reaction." She did not respond for 6 hours. Then she sent, "I tracked your car without your consent. I lied when you found out. I involved Wade because I did not want the account connected to me. I used the location to check whether your answers matched. I told my mother a version that made you look guilty. I was wrong." It was the first honest thing she had said. It was not enough to repair the marriage, but it was enough to begin a real conversation. Over the next 2 weeks, consequences arrived in less dramatic ways. Wade stopped contacting me after I told him not to enter the house again. Brooke told me she had ended private contact with him. I did not simply take her word for it. I told her that trust would require verification for a while, not because I wanted permanent access to her phone, but because she had built the deception through private channels. Elaine called and gave me a better apology. "I should have asked you before I judged you," she said. "I treated your privacy like proof of guilt." "Yes. I was protecting my daughter. You were protecting her from accountability." She was quiet. "I understand that now." I was not sure she fully did, but it was closer. Miles checked in once without taking sides or offering advice. He simply said, "I'm sorry I stayed quiet when you were being cornered." That apology meant more than Elaine's because it did not ask me to comfort him afterward. Brooke attended an individual counseling session before we attended one together. During our first joint session, she tried to describe the tracker as something she had done during a period of anxiety. The counselor asked, "What did the tracker allow you to control?" Brooke looked at me, then at the floor. "His movements," she said. "No," I replied. "It didn't control where I went. It controlled what I had to explain." The counselor nodded. "And what else?" Brooke's voice dropped. "It let me know when he would be home." That was the part she had avoided saying directly. We discussed Wade. Brooke continued to insist they had not had a physical affair. I told her the distinction mattered, but it did not erase the betrayal. "You created a private alliance with another man against your husband," I said. "You gave him information about my movements. You let him into our house when you knew I was away. Whether you slept with him or not, you built intimacy out of deceiving me." She cried, but she did not argue. For the first time, her tears did not control the direction of the conversation. I remained separated. I did not move back because she completed a few appointments or sent one honest message. I needed to see whether accountability lasted after the immediate fear of losing me faded. The anniversary passed without dinner. Brooke texted that morning, "I know today is not something we can celebrate. I'm sorry for what I turned our marriage into." I replied, "Thank you for saying it plainly." That was all. Some people thought moving the tracker had been too calculated. Elaine said later that I could have confronted Brooke the moment the mechanic found it. Miles admitted he understood why I had not. Simone said direct confrontation would only have produced another denial and another story about my anger. I thought about that question a lot. Had I gone too far by letting Brooke panic for a few hours? Maybe some people would say yes. But I knew what would have happened if I had walked into the house holding the device and demanding an explanation. She would have cried. She would have said she had only used it once. She would have called her mother before I finished speaking. Wade would have denied involvement. And I would have been asked why an innocent man was so angry about being tracked. The false signal did not create Brooke's behavior. It revealed it. I never threatened her. I never tracked her back. I never accessed an account that was not mine. I removed a device from my property and let the person monitoring it admit what she had been doing. Months later, Brooke and I were still separated. We continued counseling, but I stopped treating reconciliation as the default outcome. It was one possible outcome, and only if the marriage became something fundamentally different. She gave me the tracker account records. They confirmed the device had been active for nearly 5 months. Wade's account had paid for the subscription, and Brooke had reimbursed him in small amounts. The records also showed how often she had checked my location. Some days, it was dozens of times. Seeing that number ended the last part of me that wanted to call it a mistake. A mistake is one action. This had been a habit. Brooke eventually admitted she had liked the feeling of knowing more than I knew she knew. She would ask where I was, watch me answer, and feel relief when the map matched. When it did not match immediately, she assumed deception instead of delay, traffic, or ordinary life. She had converted my movements into a test I did not know I was taking. I disabled all location sharing on my phone. I changed passwords that had become shared by habit. I stopped sending automatic check-ins. I put my phone face down during meals and no longer felt guilty about it. The strangest change was how quiet my mind became. I could stop for coffee without preparing an explanation. I could miss a turn without imagining a future argument. I could drive through traffic without watching Brooke's name flash across the dashboard 8 times. I had spent months shrinking my life to make her feel secure, and she had responded by tightening the walls. I still did not know whether our marriage would survive, but I knew the version of it built on surveillance was over. Brooke had wanted the tracker to tell her where I was. Instead, it told me exactly who she had become. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.